Many people talk about it anecdotally, the notion of driving while black or the overall racial disparity in policing. We've, of course, seen the videos, heard the stories, or even experienced it firsthand, being stopped or singled out by police for the color of your skin. But now we're pulling back the curtain on the actual numbers. An ABC News exclusive investigation in partnership with ABC-owned stations shows how black men and women are far more likely to be arrested than white people, as much as 10 times greater in some areas. So what does this kind of racial disparity tell us about what it means to be black in America? ABC's Pierre Thomas has this exclusive report.
Why are you trying to choke his neck, man?
Nobody's choking him.
This encounter in Tulsa caught on tape of white officers stopping black teens for jaywalking on a seemingly quiet suburban road without sidewalks.
I was walking down the street.
Now sparking an internal investigation into whether the tactics were too aggressive. Within seconds, one of the teens wrestled to the ground, handcuffed.
What you follow me for?
Because you were
What you follow me for?
You broke the law, that's why.
In the wake of George Floyd's death, questions about whether police treat African Americans differently than their white counterparts are becoming more urgent. An ABC News investigation in partnership with ABC-owned stations revealing startling statistics. Our analysis of data reported to the FBI by departments from across the country showing in 800 jurisdictions, black people were arrested at a rate 5 times higher than white people in 2018, when accounting for the racial makeup of the cities and counting those police serve. In 250 localities, blacks were 10 times more likely to be arrested than their white counterparts.
When you see the higher numbers in terms of contacts between police and minority communities, that also increases the likelihood that you're going to have forceful interaction.
We have to deal with the over-policing of low-income African-American communities in our country. It is a pervasive problem.
In places like Minneapolis, where Mr. Floyd died, African Americans make up just over 19% of the total population, but account for a whopping 63% of arrests.
I feel like being a black 6-foot man in America, I'm a threat.
Akil Carter was on his way home from church with his white grandmother when police pulled him over. He says the next thing he knew, guns were drawn, and he was ordered out of the car. In the suburb of Milwaukee where Akil was detained, blacks are only 5% of the population, but accounted for 62% of arrests made in 2018, a rate 20 times higher than white arrests.
I was so terrified for my life because I don't know what's going to happen next. When he put me down on my knees, I was even more scared.
Akil was handcuffed, detained, and put in the back of a squad car. When he was finally released, police simply said this was a misunderstanding. No apologies.
I just wanted to live. I feel like if I was white, it would have went completely different.
While the data shows African Americans are arrested at a higher rate than white people, some say that's a reflection of high crime in black communities.
When you hear people say things like, well, there's a lot of crime in some black communities, therefore that's why their arrest numbers are high. Do you buy it?
I don't. And the data speaks for itself. We look and we see, for example, with drug use, that there's similar rates of drug use, marijuana use among white folks and black folks. White folks will get a slap on the wrist, and black folks will be the ones profiled, targeted, and subject to arrest and prosecution.
There also appears to be racial disparities in sentencing. A recent report by the Federal U.S. Sentencing Commission found that blacks were sentenced to prison terms an average of 19% longer than their white counterparts for the same exact crime. That would be nearly an entire extra year on top of a white offender's 5-year sentence.
When we see data that shows that African Americans are singled out, unfairly targeted, disproportionately subject to arrest and prosecution, that should sound an alarm.
Just relax.
And we now bring in Pierre Thomas live. And Pierre, this is really stunning data. Help us understand the big picture as far as what it tells us.
Lizzie, the data doesn't confirm there's systemic racism in police departments, but numbers so stark do raise the question of whether there's bias in policing. In one location, we found blacks were 29 times more likely to be arrested than their white counterparts.
And we know that police officers certainly have a lot of discretion about who they decide to ultimately arrest. So could that mean that there's more opportunity for racial bias, whether it's conscious or not?
It could. Police have a lot of power when they're dealing with the public, including the power to give warnings in certain kinds of crimes. You see in that Tulsa case, for example, the officers had the option to tell the young men they were jaywalking and to give them a warning. But you saw how that quickly escalated, Lindsay.
All right, our thanks to Pierre Thomas and also his team for diving into that data for this exclusive investigation.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.